Hello, literature lovers. Today I am to discuss Function of Criticism at the Present Time, 1865, by Matthew Arnold. In remarks on translating Homer, M.A. Matthew Arnold made some claims for the critics that he wishes to discuss Wordsworth. It is said holds the critical faculty in lower esteem than that of invention, and Wordsworth suggests that critics just engage in creative endeavors themselves. Criticism is lower than invention. Matthew Arnold says, but should these folks give up criticism for poetry? Wordsworth and Goethe were great critics, but people that create don't always create great pieces, and not all epochs can create great pieces. Literature works with ideas, but original ideas come from philosophers. Literature synthesizes and exposes these ideas. If the time has no new ideas, the poet hasn't much to work with. It is the object of critical power to see things as they truly are, using many branches of knowledge. Critics made an order of ideas prevail. They reach society, and there is a stir and growth everywhere, out of which comes creative epochs of literature. The poet must know these streams. That is why Goethe is lasting and Byron is not. Goethe knew life and the world, and he knew them as they really were. The literature from the first quarter of 19th suffered from not knowing enough. It had much energy, but it left Byron empty, Shelley incoherent, and Wordsworth wanting in variety. Wordsworth disparaged Goethe for his caring for books, Shelley, but it is not purely regarding that is important. Sophocles read little as Shakespeare. Shakespeare read lots. It is the epoch. The Elizabethan and Periclean ages had fresh thought. In contrast to the French Revolution era, Greece and Renaissance were in the main disinterestedly intellectual and spiritual movements in which the human spirit looked for its satisfaction in itself and in the increased play of its own activity. The Revolution era was political and practical and more conducive to revolution than Renaissance. That is why the previous age gave us Voltaire, Rousseau, not the revolutionary era. God set the French Revolution through culture back, but it was a soup from which Byron and Wordsworth drank, feeling not mind. 1989 asks, is it rational? 1642, is it legal? And according to Conscious, the French Revolution was inspired by universal rational ideas and the love of the multitude of these ideas. That is why it is the greatest event in history. But the mania for putting all these ideas into immediate practice was the problem. The British won't have ran them so quickly into practice. Being an anomaly is an objection to an idea in politics, but not in the purely intellectual realm. But in practice, force and right are the governors of the world. Force till right is ready, and till the right is ready. The existing order is the legitimate order, but ideas will never be ready without the free play of ideas. French running into ideas into action created no intellectual fruit, but just an era of concentration and led by Brooke. Brooke's ideas well express the philosophy of an epoch. Concentration. Brooke is great because he brings thought to bear upon politics. Brooke, in his last writing on French Revolution, imagined that the tide might be with the revolutionaries. So great things Matthew to be able to conceive on the opposite side. It is very un-English. English don't only dislike political ideas against the tide, they dislike all ideas against the tide. The idea of free play of the mind upon all subjects being a pleasure in itself, without an object of desire, hardly enters the Englishman's thought. Curiosity is the English language is considered bad, but eras of concentration must way give way to those of expansion, and he sees that happening in England at some point. To best serve the function in expansion, the critics thought should be disinterested, aloof from practical considerations, to resolute follow its own nature. That is, to have free play on those subjects which it touches. To know the best that is known and thought in the world is enough to create a fresh current of thought. Criticism's current bane is that it serves practical interest before serving free play of the mind. All papers are tied to parties. This is fine, but there also needs to be disinterested thought. I hope the whole will help you better.